stops. And while humans might be surprised to hear this, it hasn't stopped with us either. Every shift in an environment can give rise to adaptive changes that can be positive or negative. And in the case of modern humans, well, let's just say there's no good case for optimism. We humans are getting dumber, weaker, and smaller. And to let you know just how bad the situation is, we bring you 5 ways you are becoming dumber and weaker. We might all marvel at the feats of incredible athletes such as Michael Jordan or Usain Bolt, but according to scientists, the best athletes of our age would pale in comparison to human specimens of an earlier age. Examining the skeletons of normal people, such as farmers and fishers over a span of over 6,000 years, and comparing them to people's skeletons today has revealed some rather startling discoveries to scientists. For example, the leg bones of a farmer from 5,300 BCE were just as good, if not better, than the most highly trained cross-country runners of today. We often portray our ancient ancestors as short, squat, and weak, but the opposite is true, and modernity is just not the sort of environment to promote athletic and physical competence. Despite the ubiquitous portrayal of ancient humans as runty and slumped over, and modern humans as much taller, the opposite is true. In fact, recent data extracted from the human genome has shown that modern humans are, on average, 10% shorter than our ancient ancestors. Of course, this should be qualified. Most of the degeneration we are experiencing has arisen in the last 10,000 years, and has gotten progressively worse. So when we speak of modern humans, we mean the general trend from that time onwards. Of course, in the current year, things are probably worse than ever, and who knows, in a few centuries, we might all be dwarves. But hey, at least Gimli would be proud. Now, at face value, this might seem strange, because our ancestors did not live as long as we do in modern times. But this view would be deceptive. Modern longevity is not the product of greater health in humans, but rather of greater medical technology that did not exist thousands of years ago. In all the examinations of our ancestors, astonishingly few had any heart or coronary problems. Diabetes did not exist for them, and cancer was incredibly rare. Many met their deaths through violence or deprivation of food or water, but in actuality, they were more robust, healthier, resistant, and tougher when compared to modern humans in a similar age bracket. The truth is that civilization has made us weak, soft, and merely living longer isn't a sign of health, and it all seems largely irreversible, since civilization seems here to stay. While many of us like to believe our big brains make us smarter than other animals, our brains have actually been shrinking over the last 30,000 years. The average volume of the human brain has decreased from 1,500 cubic centimeters to 1,350 cubic centimeters, which is equivalent to a chunk the size of a tennis ball. There are a few reasons for this, and many scientists believe the fact that our brains are getting smaller means in fact we're getting dumber. Historically, brain size decreased as societies became larger and more complex, suggesting that the safety net of modern society negated the correlation between intelligence and survival. This is a classic illustration of maladaptation, where the comfortable environment of modernity negates the need for challenge, and thus stymies the growth of the brain, because we are no longer challenged by our environment as we were in the past. As with other problems mentioned, there does not seem to be a solution in sight, unless we want to return to the caves, something most people would probably not want to do. Scientists have become increasingly worried that the rate of harmful mutations in the gene pool has increased in modern times. Each of us carries hundreds of mutations in our genomes, most of which are deleterious, and the occurrence of these mutations has been on the uptick. The current state of science suggests that the human mutation rate is close to 300 per human and will only increase with each successive generation. And perhaps what is most sinister is that no one knows what these mutations will do other than them being harmful to us. This is sometimes referred to as genetic entropy, and seems to be a product of the modern circumstances of human civilization, which is not going away anytime soon. We can only hope that this problem, along with others mentioned, can be overcome through knowledge and technology. For more top lists just like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe.
Cosmic
I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS. Shalom to the hopeful elect, pushing this truth in sincerity. And to your sisters out there and to your ribs, listen in silence and staying obedient and, staying in order. As you saw in the video, basically, I looked for this video because I was reading the script, and I wanted to see what science had to say about it, because at the end of the day, we base, facts on, the scriptures. So, yeah, we know that humans are getting weaker and, actually the numbers are getting shorter and shorter as far as lifespan goes, right? Because back in the ancient days, people lived 900, 1,000 years, and it started decreasing more and more, and it started with, Eve being deceived, and persuading Adam to follow her, right? So ever since then, lifespan has been on a decrease, and so has health. So I want to start off with, let's go with Sirach, also known as the book of Ecclesiasticus 25 and 24. It says, of the woman came the beginning of sin, right? Because she was the one that was deceived through the serpent, who later on becomes Esau, right? So, Esau and Eve till this day have a correlation, man. A weird type of relationship, a deceptive relationship where they, feed off each other in a sense. And because of this relationship today, our people are going through a lot of hardships. It says, of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. All right. I mean, if you look at Eve's relationship with Esau today, man, Esau's giving them independence and making them feel a sense of power to remove the man from the household. That's the type of relationship that they have now. Eve relies on the court system of Esau to overthrow her husband, right? Let's go to the account in Genesis chapter 3, start at verse 4. It says here, and the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, right? So here goes a serpent, which is a man, speaking to the woman, beguiling her in her ear, trying to tell her something, she's going off. She shouldn't even been talking to this person in the first place. But, it's all for our edification. Verse 5, For Yahweh does know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as God, knowing good and evil, right? And the evil was the other doctrine which this man was trying to put in their ear, right? So the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, told them that don't eat of the tree, which is the philosophy of the other nations. The other trees symbolizes nations, right? Verse 6, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, right? She was feeling that. She's like, oh, okay, I like what you're saying. This person spitting in her ear, she's taking it, completely going off. It says, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, right? And again, the tree there is a nation or another person to teach him a different philosophy. And she saw that this was good. She was completely off, man. All right. She took of she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Right. So this is a philosophy. Now they're discussing, and she's telling him about this philosophy. Right. And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked. Right. Naked meaning being exposed. You went off. You're naked. You ain't got the garment. You ain't got the protection, the hedge over you, which is Yahweh Shem Yahushai, right? And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord Yahweh amongst the trees of the garden. And Yahweh God called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked. Right? Because he knew he went off. He knew exactly that he didn't adhere to the words that was told to him to not eat of the other nations' philosophies. He knew he went off, so now he's afraid. Right? So now he knows, he went off. He said, and I hid myself. And he said, Who told thee that thou was naked? And thou eatest of the tree, wherefore I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat. Right? So he's trying to fill him out. He said, Who told you you were naked? Who told you you went off? It says, and the man said, The woman who thou gavest to me, Salakia, the woman that thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. Right? Which is true, man. He threw her right under the bus. He's like, yo, man, she, you gave me to her. You gave me her. And she was the one that made me do this. All right? And verse 13. And Yahweh, God said unto the woman, What is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And Yahweh God said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field, and upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. Right? Because later on he becomes Esau, and dust symbolizes a real low estate, where Esau, when the kingdom is restored to Israel, will be in the lowest of state, to a point where he's going to eventually be destroyed and be in the grave, which is called Sheol, which is called hell, which is, he's going to be burnt up according to Obadiah. He's going to be done away with. So he's going to be dust, man. So that prophecy comes later on. Right? All right, so now I want to go to, the point of the lesson was that we're actually getting weaker because of this event here. We're not as strong as we was. Right? So I want to go to 2nd Ezra. Start at 41. And I said, Behold, O Yahweh, yet art thou nigh unto them that be reserved to the end. Right? He's talking about the elect, that you are close to them. Right? And what shall they do that have been before me? Right? The people who have died and have went to the spirit realm. That's what he's inquiring of. Or we that be now, or they shall come after us, or the spirits that are coming after. He's talking about reincarnation here, right? Well, this is a cut, on people who don't believe in reincarnation. Verse 42. And he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a ring, right? Because a ring is round. You really can't tell where it begins or starts. So it's like, as there is no slack of the last, even so there is no swiftness of the first, right? It just keeps going on and on and on. That's the judgment, man. How spirits come up, spirits come down. That's how it is. You die, go to the spirit realm, come back down. You know what I'm saying? In due time. Right? Verse 43. So I answered and said, couldn't thou not make those that have been made and be now and that are for to come at once, that thou mightest show thy judgment the sooner? So he's basically telling them, why not just bring everybody back at one time and then show your judgment and just speed it all up, right? Verse 44. Then answered he me and said, the creature may not haste above the maker, neither may the world hold them that at once that shall be created therein. So he's saying the world, how it's set up right now, the way he planned it, you know what I'm saying, to be made, cannot hold all the spirits in one place at the same time, right? And he couldn't grasp that. He couldn't grasp that right at the moment, right? So he tried to explain it to him in simplest form. It says, verse 45, and I said, as thou hast said unto thy servant, that thou which giveth life to all hast given life at once to the creature that thou hast created, and the creature bear it, even so it might now also bear them that now be present at once. And he said unto me, ask the womb of the woman, and say unto her, if thou bringest forth children, why thou it not together, right? He's like, why don't you ask the woman that has 5 kids, why did you have 5 kids, you know, in a span of 9 months or whatever, a year in between? Why not just have all your 5 children at once, right? That's a rhetorical question, right? It says, and he said unto me, ask the womb of the woman, and say unto her, if thou bringest forth children, why dost thou not together, but one after another? Pray her therefore to bring forth 10 children at once. Right? To tell a woman, it'll be a stupid question, because the woman will be like, hell no, I'll die. Right? It says, and I said, she cannot, but must do it by distance of time. Right? This is obvious. Everybody knows this. You have to have a break time. Right? Verse 48. Then said he unto me, even so have I given the womb of the earth to those that be sown in it in their times. Right? There's a break. Everybody's set to have their own appointed, schedule, right? Like a bus shuttle. They have, people come to the bus, they get to the bus station, they grab these people, bring them to where they need to go, another one comes, and then, you can't fit everybody on the bus at once. Right? Verse 49. For like as a young child may not bring forth the things that belong to the age, even so have I disposed the world which I created. And I asked and said, seeing thou hast not given me the way, I will proceed to speak before thee. For our mother, of whom thou hast told me that she is young, draweth now nigh unto age. And he answered me and said, ask a woman that beareth children, and she shall tell thee. Say unto her, wherefore are unto they whom thou hast now brought forth like those that were before, but less of stature? Right? He's saying that, as you have more children, the woman gets older, right? When a woman has a baby at 20, it's a lot different when she has a baby at 35, 40. Right? We know that. I myself, I had a child, with a woman who's, a couple years older than me, right? Close to 40s. So, I kind of, had a child with this woman that's, as quick as I could, because if I would have waited, I wouldn't never had a child with the woman, So I understood that with time it comes with complications, especially in the kingdom that we're in right now. right? Verse 53. And she shall answer thee, they that be born in the strength of youth are of one fashion, right? People who are born in the youth, in a younger state, right, are of one statue, right? They're much stronger. Back in the days of Noah and all them, they were a lot stronger. As science allegedly, found this out allegedly, right? But we know through the scriptures that it is where we get our foundation, man. We don't go to science, right? It says, and she shall answer thee, they that be born in the strength of youth are of one fashion, and they that are born in the time of age, when the womb faileth, are otherwise, right? 54. Consider thou therefore also how that ye are less of stature than those that were before you, right? And here it is. Till this day, right? We've been reincarnated who knows how many times, right? And we're in the last days. The ones before us were of much higher stature than us, obviously, right? Were not the Hamites strong, bigger than us? That made us look like grasshoppers, right? What about Goliath? How big was he? Right? Look at Samson. How strong was he? To knock over pillars. Right? 54. Consider thou therefore also how that ye are less of stature than those that were before you. 55. And so are they that come after you less than ye, as the creatures which now begin to be old, and have passed over the strength of youth. Then said I, Lord, I beseech thee, if I have found favor in thy sight, show thy servant by whom thou visitest thy creature. Right? So, with that being said, I just wanted to show that we are getting weaker, but we will be restored. We will be put in our righteous, strength, Lord willing, right? Let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 1. Start at verse 6, right? When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom of Israel? Right? And what is the kingdom of Israel? Right? What is this kingdom that he's talking about? Right? To restore is to bring back into what? Into power, right? So let's go to Matthew's chapter 11. It says, from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, right? So the kingdom, how is the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of heaven suffering violence, right? How can it be murdered, killed, oppressed? How can the kingdom be suffering violence, right? I'm going to read it again, Matthew 11 and 12. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violence take it by force. Right? So we know that the kingdom of heaven is a people, right? Because when the 144 and the elect come down from heaven, they have their new bodies, and they saw heaven, New Jerusalem, right? Which is the people. All right, so let's go to Luke chapter 17, verse 21. Neither shall they say, lo here, or lo there. Behold, the kingdom of God is within you. See? You are the kingdom, Israel, to the elect out there. You are the kingdom. Right? Let's go back to Acts. Acts chapter 1 verse 6. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? Right? And he said unto them, it is not for you to know the time or the seasons which the Father has put in his power, Salakia, which the Father has put in his own power, but ye shall receive power after that the Holy Ghost is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and in Samaria and unto the uttermost parts of the earth. Right? And that's what we hope for, man, to be part of that number, to be part of the elect, man. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.